Today's show, we answer this question. Is Baltimore getting ready to ship out David Ojabo? Are his last days as a Baltimore Raven numbered? They might be. When you look at the depth chart that currently is sitting in the Baltimore Ravens roster, you kind of have to go a little bit far down to see David Ojabo's name. And then you, above him, see a ton of really good and talented players. Kyle Van Noy, Odafe Owe, Mike Green, Adisa Isaac, Tavius Robinson. This is a really good room, and it is a really crowded room at that. So if there's anybody they're going to ship away, if there's anybody they're going to trade away, you kind of might be thinking David Ojabo might be that guy. We're about to talk about that a little bit more, give you some teams to look out for, break down the opportunities in further depth, but make sure you guys are subscribed to the channel. Speaking of further depth, we go in depth on every single topic surrounding your Baltimore Ravens. We give you daily content, free content, exciting content, entertaining content, all right here on the channel. So lock us in. Hitting that sub button, help us make it up on the Browns Report. They're beating us, 231 subs. Steelers Talk, they're beating us, 218 subs. We're still beating the Bengals. That's not good enough. I don't want to just beat the Bengals. I want to beat them all. Help me out by subscribing. So I think that trading Ojabo would be a smart thing to do. I'm just going to come off right off the top and just say that is kind of where I lean, is getting Ojabo out the door. And it's because he just hasn't produced the way that you thought he would. Hasn't produced the way that you hope he would. 13 games played this last year, only 9 tackles, 2 sacks, only 15 pressures. The 2 years combined prior, 5 games played, 7 tackles, 2 sacks, 4 quarterback pressures. Like, for a guy like that, if a team is willing to give you something for him, I don't care what it is, you take it. And you take it as quickly as you can. David Ojabo hasn't been what Baltimore hoped he would be. Baltimore took a risk on a guy who just tore his Achilles at his pro day. It didn't work out. But if somebody still sees something in him, take advantage of it. Take the offer. Let me know in the comment section, should the Ravens trade David Ojabo? If you think they should, go ahead and give me a yes. And if you think they shouldn't, give me a no and tell me why right now. All right, for my outside linebacker projections, I got Kyle Van Noy, Odafe Owe, Mike Green, Adisa Isaac, and then Tavius Robinson as of right now. But still, this is a projection, right? I think they're only going to take 5 roster spots. And if I'm making the roster right now and I only got 5 spots for outside linebacker, David Ojabo isn't making my list. And you might be saying, Joey, why Tavius Robinson over Ojabo? Well, he's more available and he's better. 3 times the tackles last year. 210 more snaps, double his tackles for loss, a sack and a half more, and then run defense, he's better as well. 8 more stops when it comes to the run defense. Like, he's more talented. I think he's got maybe not a higher ceiling, but I think what he's shown so far in his limited availability, that is Tavius Robinson, it's been better. Remember that Buffalo game? He was like one of the most dominant defensive players that you had on that defensive line. He was better than Odafe Owe was in the playoffs against Buffalo. So we could talk about trading for Ojabo, but you got to answer the question, who would trade for him? Because it takes 2 to tango. And before you tell me, Joey, nobody, he sucked, I get what you're saying. But the thing is, I still think that the upside can be seen in David Ojabo. You got to remember, coming out of the draft, he was looked at as a top 15 prospect. Now, the Achilles tear on the pro day, sure, that kind of screwed a ton up for him. But still, I think a lot of people can still see what they saw in him a couple years ago and say, if he gets in the right situation, we can bring that out of him. So last word on sports, gave 4 trade destinations for David Ojabo. Up first, we got the Carolina Panthers. Here's what David Latham had to say about them. While the youngsters hold plenty of promise of the future, they can't do it all on their own. The Panthers still have one of the weakest edge defender depth charts in football, and they should invest in someone that could bolster the depth. David Ojabo should be able to earn a job on this depth chart. And I'm not saying David Ojabo this entire time is like awful and he'll never be anything. I just think part of it is the Ravens have a lot of really good deep pieces. And some teams don't, just like Carolina. They're 5-12 last year. They're 29th in sacks, 32nd in quarterback pressures. And A'Shawn Robinson and Jadeveon Clowney, they're the two that led that team in sacks with only 5.5. David Ojabo could go in and he could help immediately. Maybe he's not their starter. That's okay. He could be their second guy in rotation. I promise you they could use him as that. Another team that could use him as that is the Atlanta Falcons. David Latham mentioned them as the second highest in their trade destinations and said this about the Dirty Birds. With Michael Penix set to start for the duration of the season, the Falcons might have the luxury of rostering a franchise quarterback on a rookie contract. This team should go all in a weak NFC South and a trade for David Ojabo will only improve a pass rush that has been among the league's worst for the better part of a decade. They were really bad last season. 31st in sacks, 29th in quarterback pressures, yet them as a team were still able to go 8-9. Their leader in sacks was Arnold with 6. Do you get what I'm saying? A lot of these teams really struggled in this area. A lot of these teams don't need guys to come in there and get them 15 sacks in a season, get them 11 sacks. They just need a lot of guys who are going to help this unit. And you can't tell me David Ojabo couldn't help that unit that didn't finish top 30 or top 29 in pressures or sacks. I think he could. I think you could go to chatsports.com/purple t-shirt and take advantage of this offer right now. Maybe I think you should because it's $15 off. This purple Ravens shirt got Baltimore Ravens logo in the middle. It looks clean. It feels great. We all know that this officially licensed merch for only $20 is very, very hard to find. And we've got it for you right now, $15 off. Chatsports.com/purple t-shirt. Go down the comment section. That link is there. It's also in the description of today's video. Go support the Ravens, support us, support our friends over at Fanatics. Another team that, last word on sports, thinks could possibly be trading for David Ojabo is the Detroit Lions. Here's what Latham had to say about the Motor City. Losing former defensive coordinator Aaron Glenn will likely make the defense worse, and Detroit must add some talent to offset that loss. Ojabo isn't a can't-miss trade target by any stretch of the imagination, but he's fine, low-risk, medium-reward acquisition that can make a difference for one of the league's better rosters. And Latham said it perfectly, right? He's low risk, medium reward. Why not? If you're Detroit and you think, you know what? This defensive line needs to be better. Because Aiden Hutchinson played only 5 games last year, and he led the team in sacks with 7.5. And sure, they had a ton of pressures. They struggled with getting the quarterback to the ground, 23rd in the National Football League with only 37 sacks. What we've been saying this entire time. Ojabo, low risk, medium reward, could help out the depth in that team. Another team that needs help with depth on the defensive line is the Washington Commanders. They struggled in it last year, and they didn't do much to get better on it going into 2025. LSU's Jaden Daniels, David Latham says, looked like a star in the making as a rookie. And now Washington must go all in on their Super Bowl window. David Ojabo won't single-handedly fix this defense, but he can add more juice to a pass rushing unit that could use another player to get after the quarterback. And why they need a little bit more juice is because they lost their leading sack getter, Dante Fowler Jr., who's now with Dallas. He had 10.5 sacks. Quarterback pressures, they're 26th in the NFL. 43 sacks, a good amount, 12th best. But they need somebody to help them take that extra step. And David Ojabo could be that guy that they bring in as a rotational piece. That could be that guy that, you know what, just go and get home on somebody. If he lines up with Dan Quinn, a guy who has turned some pretty decent pass rushers to great pass rushers, that's a really good home for him. Of those 4 teams, who do you think is most likely to trade for David Ojabo? Is it Carolina, Atlanta, Detroit, or Washington? You let me know in the comment section down below. I'll say this, I'm not going to be surprised if Ojabo is traded, okay? Because, again, I don't think that he's making this final roster. And I get it because he's an international pathway player. He's almost like a free roster spot. But, like, if he's not going to make the 53, man, why, like, keep him around just to get that 91st spot if that 91st guy is not going to make it either, okay? Isaac looks really healthy, and he looks really good. Mike Green, I'm confident almost more than anybody in the National Football League that he's going to dominate as a rookie. There's not a spot on this team for David Ojabo. So go get something for him if you can. Like I said earlier, Baltimore took a chance. They rolled the dice. They selected a guy who just tore his Achilles 2 months prior. It didn't work out. That's fine. You live, you learn, try to get something back. Make sure you guys are following me over on Twitter. Cover the Ravens daily there. Make sure you got me on Instagram as well. And make sure you guys are subscribed to the channel. This is the Ravens Rundown. We do it every single day. We only talk Ravens. Best place to be if you love Baltimore and you love free things.